so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
All right, what's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Wire Sports Media. So now that March Madness for the men and the women have begun, starting this week, I think for the women, Wednesday, Friday, for the men. But we also have the crying game going on between the USC Trojans, Lindsey Gottlieb, and Dawn Staley of the South Carolina Gamecocks. And they both complain about they feel like they should have been the overall number one seed. Now, granted, maybe so. Maybe so. But at the end of the day, what the terminology, what Herm Edwards always will say is that you play the game to win. You know what I'm saying? You play the game to win. So if you win in the games that you're supposed to win and you lose games that you're not supposed to lose, then how? For the USC Trojans, okay, you lost to Iowa in Iowa, a game that you probably should have won, but nevertheless you lost. Then you beat you beat UCLA early in the season, or towards the end of the season twice. But the game was kind of like, okay. But then you turn around and lose to them in the Big Ten championship game. So now, and you beat UConn early in the season. So yeah, them 3 impressive wins. But guess what? I do believe that y'all lost to, I think USC lost to Notre Dame early this year. And the fact of the matter is, all of this is because they don't want to face certain teams. It's not about the overall seed. Now, if you look at UCLA, you can look at where they seeded at, and you can say, hell, they have a harder time getting out of there. Why? Because the fact of the matter is, they do have LSU over there. Let's take a look at the bracket real quick. So before I go any further in these videos, let's look at the bracket real quick. So if you look close, excuse me, if you look closely at the bracket, right? You look at the top where UCLA is at. So UCLA is the number 1 overall seed. They do have a pretty easy road, but who say that their road is going to be easy? They do have Baylor. They do have LSU over there. They have Florida State over there. They have Michigan State. They have NC State. That's a pretty good team. So, yeah, their road looks pretty easy, but at the same time, it won't be a cakewalk for UCLA either. They have to play. You play the game to win, no matter where you at. So what do you think? Well, if South Carolina was over there, you think they probably would have got past LSU? Probably not. They probably would see LSU probably in the Sweet 16. They'll probably get past Miami. They'll probably get past Georgia Tech and all of them. Florida State would probably get them a little trouble. NC State, you never know. The same thing with USC. But if you look down here in the West region with USC has California. They had Kansas State. They had Kentucky over there. That's a pretty good team. Oklahoma. They got Iowa over there, which Iowa might end up, probably most likely will end up playing UConn. UConn, they got an easy team to play. Then most likely they'll probably end up facing Oklahoma State. And then they either probably going to face Iowa or Oklahoma. Go on, they'll face USC. Now, USC did beat UConn early in the season, But guess what? Now the blueprint is out on Juju, how to play Juju now. Because you think about this, Michigan should have beat them. Michigan should have had beat USC before the Big Ten title. That would have knocked USC out. Michigan probably would have been playing for the Big Ten title. And the committee probably factored some of this in there. You know what I'm saying? They probably factored some of that in there. So now that the blueprint is out, and then you think about this, UConn is a little bit more healthy than they was early in the season. They remember they didn't have AZ Fudd in the game when they played USC, when they lost to USC. You know what I'm saying? Now they got AZ Fudd. That's another matchup problem. Who now Page can play a little bit differently, a little bit more freely. Most likely, UConn is going to win that matchup. Then you take a look over here to the East region. South Carolina. Don Staley is complaining about having an overall seed, but if you look at your bracket, you got Alabama, you got Utah, Indiana, Maryland, North Carolina, West Virginia, Oregon, Vanderbilt, Duke. You beat Duke early in the season. Now, if I was a betting man, I would say, okay, there shouldn't be no upsets in this game. You know what I'm saying? There should not be an upset in this game at all. But you never know. Then you go down to the Midwest region, which is in Texas. Texas has that overall seed. They got Tennessee over there. They got Ohio State over there. They got Notre Dame over there. They got Michigan over there. TCU over there. Louisville over there. If you, to me personally, the hardest region is the Midwest region. That's the hardest region over there because the fact of the matter is Texas is the overrun seed, and I don't think Texas is gonna come out of there. I do believe Notre Dame is gonna get it together and come out and make it to the Final Four. They're gonna probably play South Carolina. Can Notre Dame knock off South Carolina in the Final Four? We have to see. I do believe UCLA will come out their bracket. I think it'll be a challenge. They're gonna have a challenge. But the thing about it is, can Juju knock off UConn again? Can UConn make it through? Because to be honest with you, Iowa is not a bad team, and I think Iowa could be either one of them over there. Iowa is probably the only team in that what region that is over there, the West region. I think Iowa is the only team in that West region that will give USC or UConn trouble because they do play differently. Granted, they don't have Caitlin over there, but I still think that UConn and USC, the Trojans, they have to be careful over there. Now LSU and UCLA, that's going to be a really good game because they're going how LSU is going to match up with them. Now it depends on the health of Flage. If she starts the tournament, she'll be back, but UCLA is not a shoe-in because LSU could win over there, and I think LSU match up against a UCLA or a UConn team. That's going to be interesting. Now, whoever comes out of that West region between, I mean, can you imagine if Iowa comes out of that West, out of all of them teams? That would be crazy. That would be crazy. But let's listen to what Don Staley has to say and all of these coaches. And I'm gonna share you a video of what Gino has to say because it just goes back to it doesn't matter where you see that. If you think that your team is that team, you should be able to go and play anywhere. It shouldn't be counted on. It's just like college football, man. Because I hear coaches all the time in college football complain about, well, we not where we seated at, where we doing this, where we doing that, where we playing at, and it's not really. It just don't matter. If your team is that team, it should be that. So let y'all listen to Don Staley before I get back into this.
My reaction? I mean, I'm not in the room, but obviously I think we did much more than probably any other overall number one seed. We outdid ourselves even from last year with the amount of quality wins that we had. But I guess the committee was looking at something else.
Overall thoughts on the draw and the possible matchups?
Whether we were the number one overall seed or not, the draw is the draw. I mean, we're going to play each game like it's our last, and hopefully that leads us to a place hopefully everybody in this room wants us to be.
Now, the main thing about that is she talked about how if her team, she don't allow her faith in men, and whatever the case may be. Sometimes Don Staley just goes off a whole tizzy of whining and complaining. You've been in this tournament for the last few years, won championships, got to the finals. At the end of the day, nothing is given to you. That's the bad thing about it. Nothing is given to you. You should be able to go out and perform. If you get knocked out, you get knocked out. But you shouldn't predicate yourself for having an easy walk through a tournament because you feel entitled. Hell, Gino is in a sorry conference, and they run through that conference like water. I guarantee you, if UConn was playing in the ACC, where you had to play North Carolina, Duke, Notre Dame, all of them, I guarantee you UConn will be having a lot more losses than they would have because they won't be able to recruit like they want to. See, eventually UConn probably will be moved to a conference in the years to come. It won't be easy for them. Now let y'all listen to what Juju coach had to say. Oh my God, she is the worst. She's the worst.
For me, I never thought I'd be a one seed and feel disrespected, but I thought the committee, I thought there would be very little chance we would be the number 4 overall number 1. And so, we've got a big game here on Saturday against UNCG, and we'll handle it accordingly. But you tell me if you think that bracket that we got should have been the one that it was. I can't speak for the players. I think they're excited to play, but this was not on my bingo card to be a little bit, frustrated after being a 1 seed, and it's not, an arrogance of any kind. I think there's a lot of really good teams, and you got to play the first game in front of you and earn your way from there, and that's what we'll do. But sometimes I don't understand people who make decisions in women's basketball and why they do what they do, and certainly with this committee, I would love to ask some questions.
She said there is no arrogance of any kind. So my thing is this: if there's no arrogance of any kind, why complain? If you had went out and handled business against, UCLA, then guess what? You wouldn't even have to worry about it. You wouldn't even have to worry about the notion of being disrespected or there's some good quality teams. Because my thing is, I think you're scared to play. I think you're scared to play Iowa because Iowa beat you. I think you're scared to play a healthy UConn team. And there could be a team out there that goes, if I look at this bracket one more time, you think about this. California might be a good team. I think they played them. I don't know if they played them this year. Kentucky. So there's a chance that USC could fumble. They could fumble through that way. somebody's going to get upset, to be honest with you. And I think the most likely team that's going to get upset is going to be Texas. I think Texas has a good shot to come out of there. Notre Dame could be another team that could get upset early because the fact of the matter is they have lost 3 of 5 of their last game, and they lost the game before they played it in an ACC tournament. I think the pressure is on Notre Dame a lot. I think the pressure is on UCLA. Now that they got the number 1 overall seed, they're going to have to play like a number 1 overall seed. All of this complaint, all of this notion about trying to figure out who should have been the number 1 overall seed. Okay, if you look at it like this, Texas did get blown out by USC in the SEC championship game. But if you think about it, see, this is how I view it. If Notre Dame had took care of business all the way down to the stretch, we probably wouldn't even have that talk. Because Texas probably wouldn't have been the number 1 seed. It would have been Notre Dame. Then they could have fought it out between Texas and USC. I think Texas would have probably got over USC, the Trojans, and then they would have had Texas over there. They probably would have switched USC and put them in the East, where it would have been tough for them, really bad for them. It would have been really bad for them over there. So it's what it is. You just have to continue to play. You just have to play the game. Now, Gino has some interesting comments, and I want to share y'all with that because I don't like Gino a lot, but I do agree with the sentiment that it doesn't matter who you play. You just have to go out and play.
As I told everybody up there, there's no easy brackets. There's no one bracket that's harder than the others. There's no easy matchups. There's no somebody's got a tough road, somebody's got an easy road. It's just, you go where you play. You go where they tell you, and you play who they tell you. It's been like that from day one.
Like you say, you go where they tell you, you play who they tell you, and it's been like that for day one. So because you feel like you already have won a bunch of tournaments, it's a given to you, or it's a privilege. No, it's not. The fact of the matter is that you have to go out there and perform in these games. And if you lose, you lose. But complaining and whining and crying about it is not going to get it done. The committee is going to do whatever they want to do, and they ain't going to show no sympathy. They want to see how good you really are. So that's that. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe. March Madness is here. I'm ready to see what the men's and the women's going to do. So they have some people picking Auburn in the men. Some say Florida, some say Duke. We'll see. But I'm going to fill out my brackets and I'm going to roll with it. But I still roll with Notre Dame and the women. I still feel like they could get it done. And we'll see. But anyway, like, comment, subscribe until the next episode, Live Wire Sports, and I'm out.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live Wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.